October 20th marks World Osteoporosis Day, a day created to increase awareness and empower women to prioritize their bone health. While menopause is becoming more widely discussed, there's still little talk around the impact it can have on their bones, often leading to osteoporosis. Trailblazers like Laura Rinck and orthopedic surgeon Dr. Shannon Carpenter, who joined us this morning, are speaking up on this important health issue. Good morning, ladies. How are you?
Good morning.
Good morning. Doing well.
Laura, can you talk about your experience of living with this and how you felt when you were first diagnosed?
Of course, yes. So my journey started in 2022 when my doctor suggested a bone density scan as a part of my routine checkup. I was a woman in my 50s, very physically active, otherwise really healthy. So I was shocked when I got my results back. My bone density T-score was a negative 4.0, and I didn't know what that meant at the time, and your viewers may not know what it means either. But when I asked my doctor, he said, well, that's a number that we typically see with a 90-year-old woman, not with someone in her 50s. So it was shocking, and in that moment, I thought, I'll do whatever I can to reverse this disease, make healthy choices with exercise and diet and all of that. And I did that for a year. When I came back for my follow-up scan, though, my bone density had actually gotten worse. It was now at a negative 4.4. And I learned the hard lesson that osteoporosis is a progressive disease that, was weakening my bones and creating a risk for fractures. And so I had to talk to my doctor and really discuss treatments. It was time to do more than what I could do alone. We picked a great treatment that was best for me. I started that treatment, and I'm actually really proud to say that 3 weeks ago, I had my most recent bone density scan, and I've increased my density by 20%. So I am now headed in the right direction.
Like that a lot. Now, Dr. Carpenter, can you tell us a little bit about osteoporosis and the risk associated with the condition?
Of course, I just want to say thank you so much to Amgen for partnering with us to bring this important message to your viewers. But osteoporosis is a condition that's progressive in nature, meaning it gets worse over time, and it leads to the weakening or loss of strength of our bones, which can lead to fractures. Fractures can lead to a loss of independence. So we definitely don't want any of those. This happens most frequently in women around the age of menopause when the estrogen leaves our body. Estrogen is an important hormone for bone strength. And what most people don't realize is how common the disease is. There's actually more hospitalizations associated with osteoporosis each year than breast cancer, heart disease, or stroke, yet those diseases get much more attention than osteoporosis.
So, doctor, what can women facing this diagnosis do to manage their condition?
Yeah, I think the first thing is if you're diagnosed with osteoporosis, just know that you shouldn't have shame around that diagnosis, that it's not because you have or haven't done something in particular. If you haven't been diagnosed, be sure that you ask your doctor for a DEXA scan so that you can find out if you do have this disease or not. Now, while healthy eating and lifestyle changes such as calcium and vitamin D are super important, once you have a diagnosis of postmenopausal osteoporosis, they typically aren't sufficient to move the needle on the prognosis of the disease. So it's super important to speak to your doctor. I'm an orthopedic surgeon who specializes in bone health. I'm not Laura's doctor, but I am a doctor who specializes in bone health. And there are other doctors like me, like endocrinologist, rheumatologist, or your primary care doctor, who can talk to you about different treatment options that can help prevent fractures and strengthen your bones. So be proactive and maintain your independence.
Laura, what advice would you give women looking to take control of their osteoporosis?
Well, I'd remind us all, we know how to do this, right? We do a great job with breast cancer screening. We know when to talk to our doctors about our first mammograms, and then we support each other getting those mammograms. We then buddy up with best friends and go get them. We need to do the same thing with bone density scans. A bone density scan is an essential tool for your long-term health and well-being. And we need to treat osteoporosis with that same sort of, proactive nature. Talk to your doctor, demand that scan, and then talk to your friends and make sure that we're all helping each other to stay ahead of the disease. I would say, don't wait broken bone to start this process. Both my mother and my grandmother had osteoporosis. They both broke a hip in their life. And I watched them lose their mobility, their independence, and even their joy when they couldn't do the things that they wanted to do in life. So I think that we all need to have each other's back and stay ahead of this disease.
Laura, I got to ask you this because I have a lot of women who are friends. So I talk to them about working out and being healthy and stuff. They're just like, how do I get through to them, Laura? What do I do?
Well, I think that, like Dr. Carpenter said, it's really important to live that healthy lifestyle and make those healthy choices. Exercise and diet are critically important, whether or not you have osteoporosis. But at that point where you're getting the diagnosis, you need to be proactive and you need to consider treatment. You need to understand, as she said, there's no shame in needing that extra help, and it really is worth it. I couldn't be happier that I'm headed in the right direction. I would also say educate yourselves, and it's really important. There's a lot of information out there on the internet. I recommend buildingyourbones.com as a place to get really good information about osteoporosis.
One more time on that website, buildingyourbones.com. Is that
buildingyourbones.com.
Definitely. Dr. Laura, thank you so much for joining us on Morning Blend. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day.
All right, you too.